seeking a recipient for 1,100 donated landscape oil painting. All 1,100 paintings have been completed. When can the donation be completed? All 1,100 paintings have been completed and are properly packaged ready for dispatch. The transfer process can commence immediately upon signing the relevant agreement. Full delivery can be completed in a single installment. What should I do? I want to donate 1,010 painting. What kind of paintings? These are light realism landscape oil paintings, created on 41 centimeters by 51 centimeters cotton canvases, mounted on wooden frames, using both oil and acrylic paints, featuring both horizontal and vertical compositions. What makes this donation exceptional? Completing 1,000 original works in this light realism style is no small achievement. Moreover, the artist's donation of this entire collection, alongside the conditional transfer of copyright, is unprecedented in art history and holds promising appreciation potential. Where have I been and what have I done? I have traveled across all 50 U.S. states, visited 53 national parks, and driven over 180,000 kilometers. Along the way, I captured moments of beauty and translated them into 1,100 paintings. Together, they form a unique and consistent body of work that can be seen as a personal visual record of the United States, whether as a landscape wall, a curated gallery, or a thematic collection. Each painting reflects what I observed on site, based on my own sketches and impressions, never copied from others' photos or works. They are all original, created with inspiration drawn from real places and local details across the 50 states. The theme that gradually emerged is America in My Eyes. Considering the challenges of such extensive travel, the time and energy invested, and the sustained consistency in light realistic style, this series represents a sincere, personal effort, and its originality lies precisely in that authenticity. Where are the ideal exhibition venues for these paintings? They should be public spaces, facilities, or platforms with appropriate conditions that allow centralized, safe, and long-term display while accommodating high public traffic. Examples include parks, campuses, squares, streets, airports, stations, shopping malls, hotels, resort areas, museums, or spaces such as AI research and production bases. Who is the author and copyright holder of these landscape paintings? I am Wen, a retired teacher from China. All 1,100 paintings are my original creations, and I hold complete copyright ownership. This donation and the artworks themselves are free of any disputes. Who will be the recipient of the donation? The sole and final recipient will be the application who, through the letter of intent to receive, undertakes to provide suitable exhibition conditions and submits a well-constructed promotion plan. I have personally traveled across all 50 U.S. states and visited 53 national parks, driving over 180,000 kilometers. This included 5 full cross-country road trips across the United States. Why undertake this endeavor? The uniqueness of individual handmade originals and the joy of creating them personally are irreplaceable by AI. Individual value is always worth guarding. I'm here to guard it. Wish. My intention is to champion the primacy of art sharing, upholding public welfare and art's inclusive spirit, while consciously resisting commercialization and cliquish tendencies, as an ode to the primal purity of early artistic creation. To preserve the unique delight of hand painting, humanity's distinctive creative practice, proving this joy can neither be replaced by artificial intelligence, nor should it be, standing guard over the craft of manual painting in an era of automated generation. To convey the joy of embracing nature, awakening global awareness of art's healing power, through this artistic initiative, inspiring people to rediscover the kaleidoscopic colors, abundant symbolism, and harmonious cadences embedded in America's landscapes. I hope to reaffirm beauty's eternal value, letting nature's splendor counterbalance the world's ugliness. Should no like-minded recipient ultimately be found, I will invite kindred spirits to ceremoniously consign 1,000 paintings to the flames of the Burning Man Festival, a solemn farewell to the age of hand-painted devotion. The remaining 100 pieces will be reserved for public art advocacy initiatives or other philanthropic purposes. Intent to receive the donation of 1,010 paintings. Statement of commitment.